just a hack. He's just an absolute hack. And he gets his ass kicked by his teammates every week. It's just, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
We're back here on the Believe in FCS Football podcast. Joe DeLeone and Sean Anderson, two former FCS football players from the University of Rhode Island. Sean, we've got the semifinals to preview. One kicking off on Friday, one kicking off on Saturday. How are we doing on this wonderful Tuesday, Sean?
I'd like to make a statement real quick, if I may. An official statement from the desk of Sean Anderson.
Okay, go ahead.
May I? All right. I'm wearing a hat, and I judge people that wear hats. That wear a wool hat, like in the gym or even indoors. I do. I wear them indoors all the time. I'm very judgmental. It seems hypocritical. It's just cold in my room. I've gone on this Jag before. I think it's a pretty pretentious look. I think it's a look that looks like you're trying too hard, but it's chilly in my room, and that's the reason for it. This is a time where I just have to explain it because because you know what I'm doing. You're just being extra if you're wearing the beanie, where you shouldn't be. You gotta, especially the big floppy ones. Like, hopefully I get a little, because this is just head tight. Just understand that this is not who I am. It's just cold, and this is a circumstance where I have to get through this.
If you were a much smaller individual, I would tend to agree that if I was doing the beanie inside thing, I would look pretentious.
Yes,
I think that because of your frame.
You think I have a construction worker type vibe?
That's kind of, or like a landscaper type vibe, that it's like, oh, he's just cold and he kept the hat on. Like, it's not.
I kind of like that. That's a pretty good. I appreciate that point, Joe.
But it's ironic because you donk around with audio files all day. That's what you actually do. You don't do any real physical labor.
That's very correct.
Yeah, I'm cheap like you and refuse to turn my heat on, and I'm freezing my ass off. It is 40-something degrees outside, and I am refusing to. Yeah, it gets cold here.
Outside here.
It gets cold here, Sean.
But this is the first time you've ever told me it's gotten cold and it's below 60. So this whole narrative about LA and all this stuff, you keep it.
Well, the difference is that it doesn't snow here, and it also doesn't rain constantly. It's a little bit more temperate, but it does get cold for like 2 months, and that's about it. Regardless.
Okay. All right.
Regardless,
I appreciated your insight. I think if you have a thin face, you're kind of a douchebag for wearing the hat inside. If you have a jawline and all that stuff, or a nice beard. But if you have a bad beard like me, and you have a fat face like me, then now I'm starting to see it a little bit more in myself. Like, I can get away with it a little bit more.
Yeah, no, you definitely can. And Montana State, South Dakota State football players are going to be needing to wear hats because it's cold and it's in the Midwest. Fantastic transition. Sean, would you care to do the the read for me?
Yeah, I'll do the read. Yeah, I'll do it.
Still not as derailing as your derailments on the show.
I almost have to disagree with that.
No, because you let it. What
was my latest derailment?
You cut me off because I sounded like a Jamaican man for pronouncing certain words a certain way, which was just horrible because it was a really great point that I made, and then you derailed it with that. But
of course, I do like doing that. Here's the thing with basketball betting, we're gonna have to start doing it soon. All right, so that means we're gonna have to start getting plugged in. What was that?
I said, which I can't stand because I can't
stand
betting.
it either. I was hanging out with some basketball friends or some friends that were like really into basketball. Yeah. And this was on Saturday when the UFC fights were on. And my house is like, hey, we're just trying to watch the fights. And we had one guy who was like desperately trying to watch Celtics Warriors because he's a huge Celtics fan. And he's he was putting up like a surprisingly big stink about watching the regular season NBA game. There are fans out there. There are fans of basketball out there.
It is December, and I don't want to hear about it until after the Super Bowl. We can talk about basketball in February.
Sure, I'd love to, but right now, if you're one of these people that likes to watch basketball. A huge Indiana fan in my house, watching it on his phone. He subscribes to like the Big Ten Network or whatever streaming service where he can sit on the couch and watch the Indiana basketball game. And he's got bets out and he's doing this and that. And I'm giving him the promo code. And he's like, okay, cool, I'll sign up for it. I don't know if he did or didn't. I think he was just too locked in on the game. But regardless, if you like basketball and you want to inconvenience others and to betonline.ag to join, you'll receive a 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. I don't know what my winter sport's going to be this year, Joe, because it's football, and I know we got a bunch of football, but the bowl games are happening, and we got FCS football playoffs winding down. And I didn't really pick up hockey last year. I didn't really pick up basketball last year. Like, it was on, but I think I just watched more movies. Like, I didn't really pick up a good winter sport.
Honestly, what's going to end up happening with me, I just got an Xbox 360 with college football revamped on it, and I'm just going to spend my time doing that. And I am not going to. I'm not going to watch it. I will loosely watch the basketball games in the hockky games. But
I think I'll just go to the gym. I think that's going to be a better use
also
of my
productive.
time.
That's also productive. I will be watching though this weekend, as
here
all
we
of our
go.
listeners will be watching the semifinals of the FCS football playoffs. And Sean, we finally made it. We're here. We're so goddamn close to the culmination.
Easy with the Lord's name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't say fuck yet. That's
there you go.
That's an accomplishment. By the way, I'm sorry. I have to acknowledge that one comment that we got that I texted you, and I think it was the worst. Like
it's just people. It's just they're trying. I honestly like the mean comments more than I like the person who commented Rhode Island football. I'm sure you meant Rhode Island foosball. I don't. That gave me a headache when I read it. Sean, these games though, I want to start. We didn't know how good we had it. We never knew how good we had it with Colin Sutrick. We never knew.
We miss Colin and
dearly. Miss him
Colin,
dearly. And this is a sincere I miss you from the bottom of my heart. Yes. No shtick. Miss you, Colin.
And we're excited for when Colin does come back to commenting on our videos. But the first game that we're going to talk about is the one that kicks off on Friday. And I actually like with this timing that we've got one on Friday and one on Saturday because it's more spaced out. We're not getting like both these on Friday. This game kicks off at 7 o'clock. It is North Dakota State versus Incarnate Word this Friday, the 16th. So, Sean, I'm thinking about this game, and while I was extremely impressed with how North Dakota State showed up against Samford with a backup quarterback, but an offense that was one of the most explosive air attacks in the country this past year.
Yes.
And I do not want to use this past game as too much of an example for how this game against Incarnate Word is going to play out, because these are two really different teams. Incarnate Word is the best passing attack in the country. Lindsey Scott is the best quarterback in the country, if not the best FCS player in the country, and he's going to win the Walter Payton. I have legitimate concerns, Sean, and I said this on the recap episode, that I don't know. And it's not like I'm saying like, oh, I don't know. I legitimately have a concern that North Dakota State might not really be equipped to match up with a team like this. They're equipped to win at the line of scrimmage. They are equipped to dominate you physically. But Incarnate Word has found ways to outplay teams that show up and play like that. And that is, I think, to me, a really important thing to consider for this game.
Yeah, you made the point already, though. You already made the defense, and it's the biggest defense you can make when it comes to football. Unfortunately, it's still football. And if you are dominant on the front lines, if you are dominant in the front seven and on the offensive line, there's not much the other team can do. And I will keep going back to this example. Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl versus Tampa. Go ahead. That offense, stellar. Could move the ball against anybody. Offensive line was getting dominated in that game. They were hamstrung by the physicality of the game of football.
But
I'm not calling Incarnate Word the Kansas City Chiefs, but I'm saying
they also had they had backup guys playing like
teams,
spots
regardless.
Joe, line.
But yes,
I know what you mean.
We'll take it down to college football now and say that teams can get very hamstrung when it comes to physicality on the lines and physicality of a defense. Who is going to wear who out more? Will the DBs get worn out before the defensive line gets worn out? Will the offensive line get worn out? Who gets worn out first? And North Dakota State, personally, I don't see them getting worn out very much. I thought maybe last year Montana State had a defense that could wear out that offense. I was wrong. They are a team that seems to not care about how physical or fast you are. And I feel like I'm typically going with your point with the defense and the offense and how just capable they are to look a team in the eye and say, I don't care. We're North Dakota State. We're going to be physical. We're just going to out-football you. And that's what they do. We could talk about scheme, coaching, players, whatever. They're out-footballing teams.
Simply put, there's not going to be any issues for North Dakota State doing what they do on offense. Like they're going to run the ball. Incarnate Word doesn't really have any like big dominant bodies. They're not going up against a Big Sky or a Missouri Valley Football Conference team. There is a pretty blatant size disparity. Like they're going to be able to put up points running the ball. And as I always kind of allude to with teams that are structured this way, like North Dakota State, being able to control the clock, being able to control the tempo, running the ball is how you win a game like this. But I got to say, if Incarnate Word can do what they did against Sacramento State in the sense where they made it a shootout, they made it come down to, okay, how many shots can we take and how quickly can we score? And they didn't make any mistakes. Like they are, which is very rare, a mistake-free air raid team. That's what makes a team like this extremely dangerous. And there's a reason why Coach Kinney just took the Texas State job, is because he is one of the most brilliant offensive minds in college football right now. And like, look, I got to say, if this turns into a little bit of a if Incarnate Word starts to put up a couple quick drives, all it takes is a couple of them in the second quarter, beginning of the third quarter. That is when, in my opinion, North Dakota State is in very dangerous territory. That is when they are not going to be able to counter because they do not score quick enough to play that game with Incarnate Word.
I really hope for the game that Incarnate Word didn't play their best game of the season last week. And it's really hard for me to say that they didn't. It's really hard for me to say you put up 60 points and next week you'll play even better. And maybe that's putting up 40 points and playing better defense. That's maybe what it's going to be, whatever. But you have to be in that locker room sitting and thinking, oh my God, how could we do better? And now, oh my God, we're playing a better opponent now. It's going to be a true test of not like resiliency, but consistency for Incarnate Word. From what I see, it's, hey, look what we just did. This was awesome. We were all over Sports Center. Can we do it again, or can we do something of equal quality to get us a win? And that might, I don't know. We had some games where we looked really good, and then the next game we did not look that good. And I don't know if maybe they're just built different and they don't get burnt out. Obviously, they can't be that burnt out if they've gone this deep in the season and proven everybody wrong, including me and you.
Yes.
This season. Yes. Proved us all wrong. So Incarnate Word, I think, will put up a very, very strong battle in this game. It's just a matter of them not getting too heady with it.
I think, though, that last week, I agree with the sentiment, but last week was a very different type of a test. Like, that was a test to say, okay, can you score as many points as possible to win this game? You guys are a really high-flying, explosive offense. Can you guys do that to the most extreme extent against maybe the best equal offense in the country, their best offensive matchup in the entire bracket? This is a completely different circumstance. Like, this is a completely different test in the sense where I almost would argue playing that shootout game is harder than going up against a North Dakota State team that's a little bit more. I know that I'm going to get comments on this, but like, what do you mean sluggish? Well, North Dakota State is a lot more sluggish than Sacramento State.
I think a better word that you could use is methodical.
They're methodical, but if we're being comparative here, sluggish, they're sluggish compared to Incarnate Word. Incarnate Word's like shot, touchdown.
Oh, rewatch the game in October. That was a game full of electricity for the Bison.
They are a grinded out team. And like sluggish isn't a bad word in this context. They're slower. they dominated Samford and they only scored 27 points. Like, I don't know how many teams you can sit and talk about and say, oh, they kicked the shit out of them, but they only scored 27 points. It's because that's how they're built. But like what I'm talking about here, this is a very different test is can you nut up on defense? Can you make a couple stops because your offense is going to still be able to create those splash plays? Like that's what this is going to be. And that's why, admittedly, I know it sounds like I'm very heavily pushing Incarnate Word here. I lean North Dakota State slightly. It's not significant. Slightly, I lean North Dakota State.
I also, by the way, that's an awful North Dakota accent that I pulled. That's just a dude. That's just an angry dude.
I didn't even know to say you were. I actually had no idea that you were trying to do.
Well, I wasn't, and then I realized, oh, you're talking in for a North Dakota State fan, and you're just grunting. There's no dialect difference. There's nothing. I stink. I'll derail myself here. Thank you. I don't. Safe. I am going to lean. Oh, dude, they put up like 300 yards on the ground last week. I think I'm going to lean Incarnate Word. I'm going to lean the Dream Season. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Leaning.
Okay, we're on opposite ends of the.
I'm going to lean. I have to lean.
It's kind of ironic that like I spent my breakdown time pointing out all the strengths Incarnate Word has and why that they have a better matchup, and then me picking North Dakota State, and then you did the complete opposite. It's like almost we convinced each other.
Yeah, I've been convinced. I'm leaning. Not taking, not selecting, not favoring, leaning.
Just a slight lean. That's what Sean loves to do when we would go to parties.
That's a big lean, actually.
The slight lean on the wall, or the couch. If you could find the couch to lean on, that was always a popular of the offensive line and Sean Anderson.
Update: still leaning on walls of the bars.
Yeah,
I know the bars, and I gotta. If there's no good wall, I'm leaning on the bar itself. Go screw.
Or you could always just like find like a random person to lean on. That works too.
I don't think they would enjoy that very much.
Sean, the second game that we have that is going to be played on Saturday, South Dakota State versus Montana State, 4 p.m. Eastern time on the 17th. And this game's really tricky to me because both these programs are structured very similarly. They have really good quarterbacks, different quarterbacks, but very good quarterbacks. They have very aggressive, hard-nosed defenses, and they have fantastic elite running backs when they're both healthy. And Afonso,
yes,
they have him back fully healthy. Isaiah Davis seems to be fully healthy unless I'm missing something, which we always seem to be missing something.
When are we not?
Yeah, nonetheless, they are two just behemoths and very physical football teams, the epitome of FCS football, that are going to be duking it out here in this game. But here's where I come on my stance on this, Sean. I believe in a game like this, it always comes down to defense. It comes down to who can make the big stops on 3rd and short, who can make the stops on 4th and 1, who can get the sack when it's 2nd and 5 to create a 3rd and long. And as talented as both these teams are, I'm sorry, Montana State fans, South Dakota State has a favorable advantage. Their defense is much, not significantly, but their defense is more talented. And it has consistently been more dominant on a week-to-week basis, in my opinion.
Ooh, all right. Heads, Montana State. Tails, South Dakota State.
That's what you were rummaging for. I was like, just like watching you.
I thought I was going to have to get up here, but I got a magic desk where I was able to conjure up a quarter. Here we go. What did I say? Heads, Montana State. Thank you. All right, flip it. Heads. That's the only way in my brain, in my caveman mind, where I can determine who will win this game or have an edge in this game. That's the only. Joe was making some rationale that he can lean on. I'm happy for him. I'm happy for you that you were able to come. You're lying to yourself. This is a coin flip game. It's
Sean,
a coin
you're
flip.
a lineman. You're a lineman. This is the U game. This is the line of scrimmage game. This is the one you're supposed to be like, yeah, who suits up, who has the better week of practice, who's the tougher man on the line, low man wins. Like that's what the Sean Anderson. This was perfect setup for you. And you do a bit that I would have done. Why are we like flipping sides on today's show?
Here's why, Joe. Here's why. Because what's the advantage of them playing outside in 14 degrees? They both thrive in it. So they're obviously both made a tough, strong, burly men. Yeah. They both have offensive lines that just run through folks, defensive lines that are stout, mean, linebackers that fly. And then you're sitting here. Oh, there goes the quarter again. Whatever. You're sitting here, okay, what do I like? The dual quarterback system where they rush and throw when you don't know what exactly is going on? Or Mark Gronowski, who can sit back there and sling it, can run for a first down if he needs to, and then comes down to the wide receivers and the running backs, where both of them have what are you looking at here that says there's an advantage for either side? So I flip a coin, I say Montana State.
Okay.
B-Team Pod, martyr me if you need to.
Yeah. Also, Sean's too cool to show up on that, so
I'm
cool.
Gonna
be the guest. No, did
you blow up the spot? I thought they meant it as a surprise.
No. Well, no, they tagged me in and I retweeted it. But Sean's a piece of shit, so no one expects Sean to. Sean will never show up on your show. I showed up on the FCS Fan Nation show.
I will show up on Brandon McCreary's show.
Oh my God,
is it Brandon or Nathan?
Oh no! Oh, you're a bad person.
McCreary.
You're a bad person. Look, Sean, as much as yes, it's easy to say that both these teams very similarly match up. South Dakota State has multiple NFL dudes on their offensive line, and they've got multiple talented players on their defensive line. I see advantages in both spots. And again, like what I just sat here and talked about, this is a game of physicality, dude. And I know I did the Sean Anderson, trying to be you bid, but low man wins, more physical team wins, better lines are going to win this game. I have a better offensive line for South Dakota State and a better defensive line for South Dakota State. Both of those things are going to provide advantages. And again, similar to the North Dakota State Incarnate Word game. I'm not saying this is going to be a blowout. I'm not going to say that South Dakota State is going to completely blow past Montana State. But in a game like this, the teams with the better offensive defensive lines always win.
It's going to be like 31-30. There's going to be like a blocked kick.
I think it's a little high scoring. I think I give it like 14-10.
This Montana State scores a lot of points. They score a lot of points, Joe. 13-10.
Actually, yeah, that's a bad.
Let's be real and acknowledge that both of these offenses are better than Iowa.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not going to chalk it up to a 13-10 game.
It's also a day game, so yeah, that's a good point. Ignore my score predictions. I'm terrible at predicting scores.
I'm sitting with a 31-30, which is that's like a pick. That's like a score that I would like to see. I don't know who's going to fumble the ball. Someone's going to put it on the turf. It's going to be really cold. They're going to feel a lot of pain from that. Probably an interception for each team. It might be keep it in your pants here, Joe. It might be a special teams game here. It really might be. It might be a game where if you can keep the better field position, you have a shot. Yeah. Because in that weather, with these offenses, you'd rather go 60 yards than 90 yards. But if you can start pinning teams within the 10, then maybe you could really start having some advantage in this game. Special teams could be a deciding factor. And that, oh boy, that's like a ride the fence take. But why else would I flip the coin? Because I don't. They're too similar. And this is, you're almost sitting here like, why isn't this a national championship game? Why can't we just see these two teams mirror each other and have just an explosion of fun? But hey, we'll get it regardless.
Yes. It's also a rematch of last year's semifinal. So, I also think that South Dakota State's going to be pissed off for this game. Also, for our real-time analysis here, do you know what the expected weather is supposed to be on Saturday the 17th?
14 degrees, right?
It's 10 degrees. It is supposed to be 10 degrees. There is a 7% chance of snow, 17-mile-an-hour winds. God, that sounds just horrible. Absolutely horrible. I can't. I know for a fact that the the book club and everyone that is that we tailgated with is going to be relishing in those conditions. But I could not stand in that.
Nope. I would. This is going to sound mean. I'd rather watch it on my phone in a heated bathroom. High traffic bathroom, even.
I think you should watch the game in those conditions. I would really like it if you did that.
Well, depending on how Thursday night goes, it might be that.
Well, this is the Saturday game.
Oh, Friday night, even better.
True. All right. I think that this is really good note to wrap us up on. Fantastic games this weekend. We are now at the point where we're getting the best football. We have the best 4 teams remaining, and we are going to have a very, very fun weekend of FCS football and some bowl games going on. Sean, appreciate you having on. Wait, I don't know what the fuck I'm going on here.
Stupid.
I'm getting distracted.
Here's what I was going to say. Maybe, I don't know. They've invited us a couple times. Keep the eyes out for Twitter Spaces, maybe. Reddit FCS.
Yes.
Would love to get one done with them before these games. I am not promising anything because I'm a huge flake, but I would like to. Have everybody keep posted on what they if they do go have a Twitter Space. They're really good at Reddit_FCS. And you might see us in there chopping it up with the fellas. I'll be terrified, and I won't be very open and vocal because they scare me. But regardless, I will. Hopefully, we can get something done before these games.
Yes. Sorry, I got distracted.
Of course, you did. That's what real broadcasters do.
I'm very unprofessional. At Joe DeLeone at Sanderson Radio. I had Hack City on YouTube. I'm sorry, everybody. Goodbye. Drive safe.
Goodbye forever.